Hari Om. My name is Captain Oneil Dhir. I am Head of Operations at GOL Offshore Limited. I would like to invoke Bapu's blessings, without which even standing here and narrating you the experience won't be possible. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Reva Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. In fact, when we started coming to Bapu in 2007, we used to listen to experiences of different people. We always used to say to ourselves, when will Bapu give us an opportunity to experience his grace? Though now when I look at it in hindsight, his grace had started even we came into the fold. But now every moment we feel his presence, and I personally feel without his consent or without his grace, nothing moves. This is what I have been experiencing over a period of time. Let me tell you, I come whenever possible for Hindi pravachan due to work reasons. Not that I am heavily into spirituality, but yes, whenever I get time, I do abide by his instructions. And during Hindi pravachans, Bapu sometimes he says few things. This is my own personal experience. Bapu, I and Dada, whenever they say something, it is truth and only truth. The world can turn topsy-turvy, but their word will not change. What they have said, and if you follow that, something if it impinges your heart, you can be sure that you are on a ship, safe and sound in this ocean of worldly existence. And this is what I have been experiencing. Last October, you all must have heard, there was a devastating cyclone which came in Andhra Pradesh. Its name was Hudud. It was probably a first time in India that the eye of the cyclone, which was about 30 kilometers, was passing over the city. Since we are sailors and we have been sailing, we know what it means. At sea, we always avoid eye of the storm. We never get into that. That is the worst thing you can do, and it can be very fatal. But here, the city being where it is, couldn't have been done anything. Our 3 tugs were operating in Gangavaram port, which is next to Visakhapatnam, and the storm was coming. We were monitoring every day, but now you can't do anything. So the port also left them loose. There was a breakwater. They said, you keep your engines on with full power as required, and you manage yourself. How you want to do it, that is up to you. We talked to our people. It was Sunday, 12th October. Early morning I talked to them. They said wind is picking up, but things are still okay. After 10-11 o'clock, and I had come for Upasana that day. Afterwards, after the Upasana, I tried to contact them. There was no contact. All the phone lines, telephone lines, electric lines, they had collapsed. We had no information what is happening. Next day I went to office and we came to know one of our tug has run over the beach completely, and it was our new tug. The tug, what happens in the eye of the storm, first the wind is blowing from this direction, say for example from north. Then when the eye passes, suddenly the wind immediately turns around and it starts blowing from south. The tug master did not anticipate that, and it was blowing much harder, almost 240 kilometers an hour. And before he could say Jack Robinson, he was on the beach. He just could not turn with all his power. He was just taken In no second, and immediately he found his engine is no more turning. So immediately stopped the engine to prevent the tug from getting damaged. Next day we came to know this has happened, but it was very difficult to communicate and talk to people. Anyway, we have our office there in Kakinada. We talked to our people. They said, sir, don't worry. Tonight tide is very good. Our tug draft, draft is the thing which submerges the ship into the water, and that much displacement has to be there in order for it to float. It is about 3.5, 3.6 meter. Tonight the tide will be that much and we will float. I said, very good, happy. At night they tried with two tugs in tandem, one behind the other, but nothing happened. In fact, one of the tug rope parted and it went into the propeller of the other tug. And we were worried it shouldn't happen that in trying to save that tug, our other tugs get damaged. Port was also completely damaged. For 10-12 days the port was closed. Jetties were broken, chutes were blown away. Now we were trying to get more information. They said we are trying, we are getting ropes, this, that. Anyway, 14th, being head of operations, then I decided that I will go to Visakhapatnam on 15th morning. There were no flights also available. We could go only up to Hyderabad. Even Rajamundry flights were not available. So with me, a technical superintendent also came along, Rahul. Now looking at the reports in the flight also, Rahul said, "Arey, what will happen?" And when such a situation happens, normally people distance themselves away. I said nothing will happen. So I normally carry my Bapu's photograph in my pocket. And I said, don't worry. Our dearest father, friend, colleague, he is coming along with us. He says, what do you mean? I said, I will tell you when we reach. We reached Hyderabad almost 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Then we took a car which took 12 hours. Now when we were going, we started getting information, and the devastation, how it was on the road, we could sense what is happening. Then before Vizag, we took bread, jam, water bottles, because what we got to know that because there is no electricity, even petrol pumps are not working, so there were no vehicles on the road. Trees completely uprooted. It's a beautiful green place. All the trees were uprooted. Poles were uprooted. Chief Minister happened to be there. And there was an eerie silence. You know, sometime when you go a ghost town, it was that. We reached around midnight, but we talked to our agent. Please get us in accommodation. He says it is not possible. I said just try. Anyway, he tried and he got us couple of rooms. So we reached at midnight, saw complete, and people who were well off, they came into hotels, because at home there was no electricity, no water. It was difficult to sustain. So next day when I went to see the tug at Gangavaram port, it was high and dry. Now what happens in a cyclone, lot of body mass of water comes in, but after that it recedes. And then when I saw it was nicely on the beach, just little bit away, the water was just 1 meter. But apparently our suction could take water, it was balanced, and the AC and our cooking and all arrangements could be done. And there were 8 people on the vessel. Now from the shore it used to take by boat about 45 minutes to reach there. So when I saw, the first feeling was how will we pull her out. The weight of the vessel was 600 tons. Now in such a scenario, and what had happened, the bow, which is the forward portion of the ship, it had gone towards the beach, and the hind portion where the propellers were there and rudder, that was facing the outward side. Now I had to pull it from this side. Now the danger was big. One was the ship may completely break open. Second, even if it comes safely, the propellers and rudder may damage to such an extent that probably it will be better to buy a new one than to do repairs of the existing. Third was the people on the ship. If something happens, you need to save them, because by that time the divers had gone down and they found, although our ship's people were saying it is sand, but it was not sand. It was hard compacted sand which was like a rock. Now anything pulled over the rocks can be devastating. Now what we did, in order to have a precaution, we started sounding the water where maximum we can go with our other tugs, how much we have to keep away. So all the survey we did. Now the tides were falling. This was 15th October. The tides were falling and the next high tide was starting around Diwali time, 23rd October, 24th October. So now various people are giving you various options, various suggestions, but when you are in the line of fire, your mind gets clouded, which path to take. And here I remember Bapu's word, son, I will give you only one single path. You don't even have to choose between this or that. People were suggesting, okay, we will get barges, we will try to float it. Now the costs involved were very huge. Somebody was suggesting cut the upper accommodation, reduce the weight, then only we can bring the ship out. Then I was talking to the divers, and while talking, then we agreed on a plan that we will create empty tanks which provide buoyancy tanks at the aft portion, which will lift the ship, and when it is high water we will pull her out and we'll put the wires, strong wires. Now we set our task, we will do this thing. The workshop there, he had his own problem. We wanted it fast, but it couldn't be done fast. There was no electricity. He had to organize generators, welding machines, and they had to do lot of runs of welding because it is pressure tested and they should not break open or they should not leak, otherwise our purpose is lost. So we agreed for 5 different buoyancy tanks of different sizes, which we will try to insert it at the bottom of the ship, which will provide buoyancy. And in the meanwhile we started rigging wires from the forward portion, one at the stern, because we had to organize 3 tugs. We had 3 tugs which had pull of 40 tons each. That means I had pull only a 120 ton. Now if the ship doesn't float in water, 120 ton is not sufficient. It is something like you are dragging something of 600 tons with 120 ton, it is not possible. Even if you bring 600 ton pulling force, it will rip open your ship because it was hard rock. Anyway, time passed, we were making progress. We were actually planning for 22nd October, one day before Diwali. And we had booked our tickets for 23rd October 1 o'clock afternoon flight. Okay, at least we will make home for Diwali in case if our things go well. The pontoons, the buoyancy chambers were not ready on 22nd. We said, okay, let's try, there is no harm, at least let us try with the wires. The tide was there at night 7:30. We tried, normally you tried half an hour before, half an hour after, because then the tide starts falling. Not an inch also moved. So we cancelled our tickets home, back home. We told our families, no Diwali. In fact, to be very frank with you, I wasn't even in a frame of mind to come home, because those people who were stranded, to leave them alone and come back, somehow it was not gelling with me. Anyway, 24th morning to after 23rd, the pontoons were ready. From morning 6 o'clock we started putting them in place, towing them with the boat, placing them. Now there was one catch. These buoyancy chambers act like a jumping jack, and the wind and the swell has to be there in order to be effective, because then only they will push the ship with their buoyancy. In the morning the wind was very good, and I said, oh, it is a good day. Then by the time evening descended, that day the tide was at 8 o'clock, high water was 8 o'clock, and I had water with the tide only 2.6 meter. Still I was falling short by 1 meter. And one of our experts is in Malaysia who are experts in this. I rang him up. I said, I am doing all this. Is there any other suggestion from you? He says, Captain, whatever you are doing is what is possible. Otherwise you have to break, cut the ship and then only bring it. The chances are negligible what you are doing, but try. There is no harm in trying. I said, thank you. Now when the evening descended, my hopes were dashing because the wind had stopped blowing. It became calm. Now I had 3 tugs and 4th tug which was stranded, Polaris. So I had to board one of the tugs to command, and whatever instructions I had to give, the others had to follow, and in unison we had to work. See how Bapu gives indications. When I stepped on that tug on the bridge, there was a photo of Vaishno Devi Mata. I just said Amvadne, and I knew, Bapu, if it is possible, it is only possible only because of you. Otherwise, nothing can move this vessel on earth. The fuel, the water, everything was running low. We were even thinking now next what to do. You know, there were various things. And since it was night and Amavas time, there was no moonlight. I was a little scared in undertaking a daring operation. You know, it is fine if everything goes well, but if something goes wrong, hell can break loose. Anyway, I gave the people life jackets. Please don life jackets. I got quick drying cement in case hull opens. I got wooden plugs, got additional people standby and vigilant. We went to the position. Even that deputy conservator of port, let me know what happened. I said, yeah, I will let you know. Now 7:30 we went into position. We positioned ourselves 3 tugs. Now it was 7:54 and 8 o'clock was the high water, maximum water we could get. So I don't know, I just picked up the VHF with which we were corresponding with each other. I said, okay, we have to chant one mantra, and after that we will start pulling. So they all said, okay sir. I said, Om Manaha Samarth Data Shri Aniruddhaya Nama. We chanted this mantra 3 times. And we started pulling with full force. Suddenly there was a hue and cry and commotion. I looked, what happened? A huge wave came. And those people who were on that stranded vessel tug, they also, oh, nikal gaya. And the vessel, like a flower you take out the pond, the vessel rode the wave for 12 feet. Why I am saying 12 feet? It was such a huge wave because the water was less up to 12 feet. It was only 1 meter water. Had the vessel fell earlier it would have broken, or with that pounding, but it cleared that 12 feet and coolly positioned. We pulled out by 8 o'clock, our job over. I mean, to do such a thing in such a simple manner and so with ease. I mean, if you look at it, it was a Herculean task. Why I am saying we were taking quotation. People are quoting millions of dollars for doing this job, and which I did it, or Bapu got it done in about 10 lakhs rupees. After that, even we were wondering maybe both the propellers are not working. Nothing happened. Although there were damages, but then we tried rotating the propeller. On one side engine, the propeller was turning. So we did not need another tug for towing her. By herself she went to Vizag dry dock. In about a week's time she got rectified and put in place. Now these kinds of things are not coincidences or accidents. These are totally Bapu's grace, and I named it as a tidal wave of Bapu's grace. Right now, while narrating this incident, my mouth is full of sweetness. It is as if somebody has put 10-20 rasgullas in my mouth. And I am sure if in your ears you feel due to any non-explained reason you are getting some ras or madhurta, be sure it is not the magic of my words, but it is the magic of Bapu's grace, and he is Virajman in your ears. I am Ambadne, Hari Om Bapu, and I thank Bapu, Ai and Dada.